What up, YouTube? Welcome back to Ultimate Millennial. I am Cortland, and this is the last in the Manage Your P.O.O.P series. P.O.O.P, that's patterns, outlook, orientation, and people. So today we'll be discussing people and relationships and the three core dichotomies of those relationships as it relates to your goals, dreams, and ambitions. So this was a particularly challenging segment because, as we all know, relationships are very dynamic things. So again, when you're thinking of these dichotomies as they relate to your goal, keep in mind that it may not be as black and white as black and white. So you may also notice that everything else in the series has been more about an internal process, right? So you manage your patterns internally, your outlook internally, your orientation internally, and I believe that you also manage your relationships internally, because what you bring to the relationship is also what you're likely to get from the relationship. And granted, there are some things that, some relationships, some times when you're not going to get exactly what you brought, and that's on the other person. But it's good to take responsibility for your own life and the people in your life and the things that you are creating, intentionally or otherwise. And that's kind of what this whole series is about, is what are you creating in your life? What are you responsible for? So without further ado, the three dichotomies within the element of life, things to be mindful of. So you may find that your relationship is either supporting or condemning. You will find that it is that a person is nurturing or poisoning you, and likewise, you may be nurturing or poisoning someone. And then finally, challenging versus stunting. So in the first, supporting versus condemning. So say that a friend comes to you and they have an idea, and they're very passionate about it and enthused about it, and they come to you and they're like, oh, this thing is so awesome. It's a vacuum cleaner that mows your grass, and I'm gonna build it, a prototype. And maybe it sounds ridiculous to you. Maybe it sounds like it wouldn't be feasible, like no one would want that. Why would someone want a vacuum cleaner that mows your grass? And you can express that and kind of attempt to condemn them and shut down their idea. Or you can, despite your own inhibitions and thoughts about the vacuum cleaner lawnmower, you can believe in the person in front of you and offer them your support. You could say, I'm not the guy to ask about that. Like, I don't know what to tell you, but I can tell you that you are legitimately excited about this thing, so go for it. Or you can be, less supportive and kind of condemn the idea and be like, dude, no one's gonna want a vacuum cleaner that also mows your lawn. What would you do with that other than vacuum your house and mow your lawn? That's the dumbest idea I've ever heard. And you can bring people down that way. But it's also important to realize that some people already have an idea in mind of how they're going to respond to a thing. So if you bring your brilliant idea, it's the cell phone that you can, do something else with that a cell phone doesn't already do. Anyway, so you take your idea to this guy, and he tells you it's a dumb idea. I mean, maybe your idea is not the best idea, but you've got to ask yourself if you want that person in your life. Like, do they care about you, or do they care about good ideas? it's not necessarily a bad thing if they don't support everything that you do. I'm reading Tools of the Titans right now, and a lot of very successful people have what they call a red team, which is basically they get together with their friends and they bring their ideas, and their friends tear their ideas apart in order to challenge the person, challenge their beliefs, and challenge what they're bringing to the table, and whether or not they're truly passionate, do they truly believe in this idea, can they make this idea work. So sometimes it's good to have someone around who will condemn your ideas. But for the most part, you want to be mindful of who is in your existence and why. So, on to the next dichotomy. I have nurturing/poisoning next, but I actually think that challenging versus stunting would flow more naturally. So we're gonna go with that. Does the person challenge you regularly, or do they allow you to fall by the wayside? And the reason that I call it a dichotomy is because in life you're growing or you're not. And if you're not growing, then you are wasting time. You're not making any progress. And that, to me, is a bad thing, because we have a limited time, and if we want to achieve our goals, then we need to be in a constant state of growth. So I'm very fortunate in that I have a couple of fantastic people in my life who are constantly challenging me. I mean, this very evening I had a very powerful lust for some less than healthy foods, and my fantastic partner was like, challenged me on that, challenged me on that decision, and ultimately I chose less than wisely, which we do, but at least she was there to challenge my decision. And likewise, when my friends have stated an intention to me, and they're presenting it to me, and they're presenting me with a contrary decision or a contrary choice, I feel that it's my duty as a friend to ask if they're sure that's what they want, and to challenge their conflicting decision. Because otherwise I'm preventing my friends from reflecting, because we all know how patterns and habits can be, and we might have a new idea that's going to require new habits and new patterns, but if we don't have someone there that can help us when those triggers come up, then it's a lot easier to just go with our old habits. So that sort of thing. My brother is fantastic also at challenging me, because he is so much more physically active and physically capable than I am, and I mean just incredibly mindful about what he eats, and I'm less like that. And so when I'm around him, it makes me want to be better. And you want to fill your life with people who are challenging you, people who make you want to be better, people who make you want to do better, and people who bring out the best in you, as opposed to allowing you to remain inert and allowing you to be stunted, allowing you to remain in your comfortable, relaxed, and yet not growing place. And this is coming from a position where I like to be around people who have goals and dreams and know what they want. So maybe you can't always have that, and if you can't, it's not a bad thing, it's just a thing. So the important thing here is to be mindful, is to be aware. And finally, are the people in your life nurturing or poisoning you? And are you nurturing or poisoning them? So it's critical to be aware of the effect that you're having on other people and the effect that other people are having on you. And in this case, in the case of nurturing versus poisoning, I think that there is an objective good for you, bad for you thing here. Unlike the supportive slash condemning, the challenging slash stunting, I think that in the instance of nurturing versus poisoning, clearly we don't need someone who is going to be a toxic element in our lives. And so it's important to notice them and to weed them out. That being said, there's a lot of potential for growth when dealing with toxic people. And sometimes we need that void. We need that poisonous person in our lives in order for us to find the strength in ourselves to remove ourselves from that relationship or from that situation. And that struggle, that contest can lead to growth that would be otherwise unavailable. So again, it's important to be mindful of what's in your life. It's important to manage your poop, to know why you have, what you're doing, how you're doing it, and is it ultimately helping you or not? And if it's not helping you, it's hurting you. So I try not to think of a middle ground that way. Like you're either growing, as they say, or dying. You're either on your way to your goals or you're not, and you're on your way to your goals, or you're on your way to the grave. I mean, everyone's on their way to the grave, but anyway, I hope that this series has been helpful. I hope that you found the central theme to be amusing and yet a little bit profound. I will do something like this in the future, but I'd like to do it when I have more time and energy. Yeah, so stay tuned, more to come. I'm thinking next Thursday, or I'm thinking over the course of the next few videos, maybe next few months, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take self-improvement videos, self-improvement books, self-help books, things like that, and kind of break them down and cut out the fluff and present to them in a digestible fashion for people, who don't want to prioritize reading an entire book where half of a chapter is like, well, when I was a lad, blah 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 blah. So right now I'm rereading Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, and I've come a long way since the first time I've read it, so I'm thinking it'll be of more benefit to me, and that's the book I want to start with. So I'm going to do a breakdown of Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill starting next week, and hopefully the chunks will be so digestible and small that we can bust it out in a week together. But if not, I'll probably do a little series on it, and I would like to do that with more than one book, but we'll see how Think and Grow Rich goes. I want to say to everyone who's been with me this whole time that you guys rock, and I so deeply appreciate you. And I know that I've been late on a few videos. Better late than never, I know, thank you. But I'm going to stick with this, as you know, and I appreciate you being there because you are inspiring me to stick with this, even in moments where I am too tired or frazzled and things like that. It's important to me that this is important to you, and I appreciate your time and your support and your challenges and your nurturing. So you guys rock. All the love. See you next Thursday, if not sooner. Peace.